Thanks, Sonia and Pinder. I was inspired by that, seriously. And stories like that matter because that's what makes the difference between us talking theory and abstracts to real delivery on the road outcomes. So thanks for sharing that. It's really important. So the next topic is very close to my heart. I was previously DAMA Australia President and currently sitting on the DAMA Egypt Board, and this community spotlight session is about bringing our community in the broader sense on stage to share their stories. And we've got, I'll put my glasses on, of course. Need to do something about that. So we've got Anne Cornish, Anne's in between meetings. So here, Anne's here, fantastic. Subhrajit Banik from, he's Melbourne DAMA chapter lead. Howard Diesel from DAMA South Africa. And Jim, representing the EDM on the panel. So anywhere you like. So maybe what we should do is just explain, each of the speakers on the panel, hey Howard, speak a little bit about their chapters and their communities, and then we start sharing stories and discussing, yeah. Yeah, we're right, sorry.
Thank you. I'm Howard Diesel from DAMA, South Africa, with my wife. It's the first time to visit Australia. Really nice to be here, and it's lovely almost to feel like we're at home. DAMA South Africa has had an amazing journey. We went through some rough times, but since COVID, we came alive, mainly because we were jumping between Cape Town and Joburg. Lots of people in the country felt left out. And when we went online, all of a sudden everyone could join. And not only that, we've actually got members from all over the world. So we've got a few people in Calgary, we've got a few people in New Zealand, and we run 9 webinars a month. So we were listening to some of the DAMA Melbourne people, and they were almost in a case 9 a year. So we're running 9 a month. I'm very fortunate that I have a few kids, maybe too many, but they are really good at organizing my webinars. They organize webinars, they organize speakers. If any of you want to write a book, Steve Hoberman is really good, fantastic, and every single time he releases a book, he says, Debbie, please invite these people onto the show, and we have speakers all over the world and helping our members understand what's happening, what's going on. The latest books are phenomenal in terms of what people are talking about and writing about, and the community love it. We don't charge anything. I've also been very fortunate to be working in Saudi for the last 4 years, and we've got a large population of Saudi people joining our community, so we're not really a South African chapter, we're an international chapter, and we've been able to progress through that.
Thanks, Howard. Jim. Thanks, Howard.
Yeah, Jim Halcomb. I've already given some of my background here, but I want to thank Howard for working with actively with us from a DAMA to an EDMA perspective. That really means a lot. I think that I've always thought that there was a lot that could come from our communities coming together, and it takes people like you to take that initiative to make that happen. And so I really appreciate your contribution and leadership in that. And also, as I mentioned before, I've intersected with records management throughout my career, both early in my career in data management, and saw some of the connections there, some of the massive challenges of trying to actually write queries against records, which was god-awful for so long. So the need was there, right, from a data perspective. But then now, things that I'm learning, so I said earlier that I had a conversation where I was almost wrong on everything and was just learning in everything that I was having a conversation with this person about. But then we had somebody come up and say that they've used DCAM for their records management. So that was really cool. So I didn't know that until after the session this morning. So I don't want to call them out or anything because we haven't really kind of fully thought that through, but I just wanted to share that. There's obviously more that we can do together as communities, and I'm looking forward to being a part of that.
Thanks, Jim. Subhrajit.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm Subhrajit. I'm representing DAMA Melbourne today. Just a bit of an overview of DAMA first for people who don't know about DAMA. So DAMA stands for the Data Management Association. It's a not-for-profit organization, completely run by volunteers. International body has been around since the 1980s. We have around 80 countries affiliated to DAMA International. DAMA Australia being one of the most prominent affiliations. In DAMA Australia here, most capital cities have their individual chapters. Our core mission is to focus on how your organizations can get value out of their data investments and manage data as a key business asset. Along with that, we also focus on advancing the data management skills for individuals. How we do that, we have one of the leading frameworks, the DMBOK, you might have heard, the Data Management Book of Knowledge. But apart from that, we also provide individuals with a learning pathway, to validate their skills as well as advance their skills through the CDMP learning certification. In DAMA Melbourne, we are considered to be one of the most active branches. Like Howard said, we have about 8 to 9 in-person events a year. And our events, we have industry leaders, panel discussions, as well as sometimes vendors. It's more the community which helps these fundamentals, bringing these practices to action. It's a safe space provided to individuals where they can share their challenges, learn from others' experiences, and that's been our focus. And thank you, Andrew, for giving us this opportunity today to share the panel with esteemed
100%.
colleagues. Thank you.
Thanks, Subhrajit. Anne.
Hi everyone, I'm Anne Cornish, the CEO of RIMPA. What does RIMPA stand for? It sounds a bit like an Oompa Loompa, doesn't it really? And it's so much easier to say RIMPA than it is to say Records and Information Management Practitioners Alliance. Oh, hello Sandra. RIMPA just rolls off. We did have a name change some years ago and it was actually quite controversial about changing to RIMPA because the word was, it sounds like an Oompa Loompa. RIMPA, what do we do? So a membership organisation, now global, in the last 3 years have become global, and we offer education and we offer events, obviously, and lots of resources. And I'm going to say to us, our biggest fear is data. So you guys sitting here on the stage, it's our fear. No, in the sense that I think that records managers need to absorb data and actually understand data and get involved in data rather than be scared of data. Otherwise, we're going to get actually absorbed by data. So that's my opinion anyway. We're here to work with these guys. Over the last couple of years, I've actually formed relationships with both EDMA and with DAMA. And even though Subhrajit and I just met as we just walked up to the stage, but that's okay. And it's in the sense of that I think it's really important that we work together. So that's where we're from.
Thanks, Anne. So this is going to be more a free-flowing panel. One of the things that we were talking at as panellists was AI is sweeping everyone up. Unstructured data, records, information, data, it doesn't matter. The machine will absorb and consume everything. And I really wanted to understand from each of the associations, I want them to like to share the challenges and the opportunities from their membership in their community with the sweeping changes that are happening in front of us, have happened and will happen going forward. So that's one of our key messages in this conversation. So,
great. So I'm on the DMBOK version 3 editorial board. We about to release, or should be releasing in 2027, not as fast as DCAM. But
Well, you're volunteers, so.
yeah. But what was fascinating right in the beginning is to say we had this thing called an existential debate on data management. And I wonder how many of you have been in that debate. I'm going to use a term, and I hope I don't offend anyone, but it's a little bit like mental masturbation. And we go round and round in circles, and everybody's got their own opinion. And that was quite disappointing in terms of we go really weird on this thing in terms of what is data management. And You know, we have this data life cycle with plan. The image in his head has gone really far. Anyway, should I not have said that?
Go, Howard. You're on a roll. You're on a roll.
Yeah. So we start off with plan and design and enable, and then create and obtain. And most of the times when you ask ChatGPT or most other people, we only start thinking about data management when it's create and obtain. We don't plan and design, and we don't dispose. We just get it into our databases and start using it. And there are lots of people that still feel that way. And so, you know, how do we bring in the different types of data and things like that? And we've been arguing for the last 2 months. And that's not an easy debate, but that's what's important to us, is that we should be looking at all types of data and managing the life cycle of the data. And what I love about ChatGPT was all of a sudden the records, the knowledge, they were being embedded in data. And that's what we've always said, is a case of don't just leave it as data, information that's on a dashboard or in a document. How do we get it back into data so that we can manage it properly?
Yeah, I think from the conversation that we had earlier that comes to mind. I've really been thinking about it, and you know, back in the day in data quality, one of the steps in the process was to kind of look back at if you had a statement, does the data that's in your report, is it corroborated by the statements that are sent out and vice versa? And that was back then an important context in order to evaluate what's right. Yeah. But as I learned this morning, more and more there's just you're getting rid of the documents and all that's left is the data, and that concerns me. And the only real fix to that is to make sure that you have good metadata and you have governance. As long as you have governance, that's your ultimate backstop to quality. Yeah. You know, the person who owns the process and manages the people and the technology that generates the data, that's always your ultimate. And I think that now that more had become not only digitized, but here's a Jim word, datafied. Once it's become datafied, now it needs to actually be officially supported by the governance framework that you have in place. Otherwise, you could be lost. It opens up a lot of opportunities for criminal activity. Yeah. I was searching for the word, but yeah, that's really the word. Is malfeasance. Yeah, malfeasance, but also just criminal.
Okay. Yeah, look, the AI hype is real. So whether it's generative AI or machine learning or anything that you're starting out in your organization, I think when we peel back the layers, what we are seeing is the same problems being highlighted. Data quality is a huge challenge. Classic, the cliche saying garbage in, garbage out. You know, we all know that, but it still exists. Lack of data transparency or understanding of the data lineage, where the data is coming from. So I think it's even more important to have solid foundations. Data quality, improving your data quality, how you go about that to really get value out of your AI investments. And that's where I feel the embark and the foundational principles, the framework is even more important. Like, look, if you're building a house, renovating the house, or even extending it, the first thing that you check is how good are your foundations. So I feel it's even more important that we don't lose focus on the foundations while we are in this AI hype. Show of hands, if you could relate to the same problem, data quality issues, any other challenges?
Anne.
I'm going to round it up saying that exactly what all you guys said, but I'm going to simplify it a little bit. I mean, AI it's only as good as the data and the information that that feeds it. Let's be honest, and that's our expertise. That's what records managers do. We're really good at metadata. That's our background. We're really good at governance. We're really good at educating. We're really good at standards, that sort of thing. So I think that's where, from an AI perspective, I see AI as an involvement for our industry. more so than an issue. And I know everyone, oh, we're going to lose our job and we're going to do this and the AI is going to take over because, you know, we have automatic classification now. It still needs the humans to put all that information together, and it needs to be right. And this is the problem with AI at the moment, what we're getting out of, you know, the chat GPTs and all the other AI systems that we use. Records managers, that's what we do. We verify and make sure that information is accountable. And I don't know if we're doing it great at the moment, but that's the challenge. That's what we'll be heading.
Do you mind if I just wanted to also just kind of offer that life cycle is what hits me between the eyes that connects our communities, right?
I agree.
And the approaches that I've always taken from a data perspective, I think also apply to the records management, which is identify, classify, tag, and control, right? And there's so much in organizations, even in small organizations, so much data to deal with and so many records to deal with. It's mind-boggling. So I think one of the important things that as you're kind of coming into the data space, data strategy, that's kind of a drum that I'm going to start beating across the board is how important it is to get your data strategy right. And the first thing about a data strategy is what? What data? What content is the most important? And it might be security that's driving it. It might be privacy that's driving it. It might be ROI. Whatever the case may be, you need to have everybody on the same page about the prioritization and the objectives that you have in place in order to keep a discipline in place and not have everybody running in a million directions all at once.
I couldn't agree more.
Thank you. Thanks so far. Thanks very much for the panel. We've got a few more minutes left, and it would be remiss of me not to ask the audience, and because we have a mix of data and records people and information management people in the room, to come and ask some questions of the panel. This is our session. We want to get involved. We'd like you to get involved and ask questions of us.
I
So,
already have a hand up.
okay, so I need a mic up there, so I'll get Kyle. Thanks, Kyle.
Hi. I like the idea that you say in data quality, like an idea of a house being built. The point I want to raise and ask some information is like a lot of people think, you know, the house is built from nothing, but in organizations we have data lake, data warehouse, and normally information comes from so many different systems, and you can't just do data quality in one place. Because I think, like, what I want to get to, I think integration sometimes it's really overlooked because you can just check one point and then they say, oh, the problem is on that integration piece. But that integration piece reflects in the whole organization thing. So, yeah, I'll comment and ask some comments from you guys on that.
I agree, and integration, I think one of the key places to look for guidance on integration is if you have analysts. Because really, one way of looking at an analyst is that they're taking disparate sources of information and they're integrating them into a model in order to come up with insights and answer a question. And that's a dynamic process that's constantly challenging the existing architecture that's been built into your systems. So having that balance between the kind of the supply side, you know, what's been built to support the existing systems that you have in place, and the demand, because I'm more of an economist, I think, in supply and demand. And so looking at the demand and how they're actually looking at and trying to consume that information and having both parties involved in defining the concepts that drive that connect the data across those systems. So you really need to have active governance and participation from your users in making that integration, I think, a living thing that works for the business.
Yeah, we also focus a lot on integration, and we deal with several different techniques of integrating the data, and master data being one of them, to be able to deal with these many different siloed systems. Each of them have a different view on the core entities of your organization, and before you start making decisions or start trying to resolve who this entity is, you need to have a consolidated master data or reference data. Both of them are extremely important. So the first aspect is bringing all of this data together, which then becomes a data hub, a sharing hub for any of your big data transformations or alignments to data in the lake. Now, how does that relate to data in the organization? If you're bringing data in from social networking, whatever it is, the first thing we got to assume is this data related to us or is it from somewhere else? And so we desperately need the alignment across multiple data sets, dependent on the business need and the business requirement. We need to be able to provide the support for that integration and interoperability.
Yeah, my take on this is, all these systems which are producing this data, which we are trying to integrate to and bring it to the data lake. I feel the data stewardship community has a lot of, it's a very important and critical pillar to get it right, because they understand how the data is being created, what data it is. And that knowledge is very important while we are integrating with that data set and bringing it to the data platform and designing it the right way so that we get most value out of these data sets. Along with that, there would be other practices like architecture, how we are integrated with the school. So is it scalable? Okay, and things like, so these are the two common, concrete pillars I would say really helps while we are integrating it with the different, source systems which is producing this information.
Nothing to add.
Okay. I was just checking in. There's another question. Kyle.
You need a microphone. I'm okay.
I love that.
That's all right. My question is on any of you that the experience of. A lot of people in the room will be records management, information management people. We also have a lot of people who are CIO, data strategy, all of those things. How do you get them when you've got the records management people saying we need X, and you've got the IT and all the big data guys going we need Y for AI? How do you get them to go? But it's the working together bit, because the records managers invariably are left behind on the discussions about AI and managing their data and what they need to do to manage it. How have any of you experienced that, how you get that swing so that their opinion is a lot more valued into the IT space? Because we see the value of AI, we know what we need and what we want, but it's about getting almost that level footing with the IT specialists who understand all the technical end.
I'm jumping at the bit here. It's mine, Jim, not yours. Jumping at the bit, mate. I'm jumping at the bit.
Anne
You're
wants
not
to
going.
have
It's
it.
me first.
Go.
Can I tell you, and I'm going to be really candid here, it's our own fault, okay? Records managers are very inclined to sit back and let everything happen around them, and I'm one of them. I've done it, but I'm sorry, I'm not one of them, but I used to let it happen. You've got to get out of X and Y, and you've got to go there yourself. And it doesn't matter what happens and even if they say no. I'm telling you, I wasn't invited to lots and lots of meetings and lots of. I didn't have a seat at the table. I just sat down. I did. I just literally walked in. Do you know what? After the first time they started inviting me, because I added value. You've got to show that you add value. Don't just expect them to know that you add value. I'm sorry. It's our own fault. We need to get in there and tell them that we are a valuable commodity to a valuable asset to what they need to do. And I know it's probably not the answer you wanted, but that's my experience. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I hate to say it, but being an introvert or just sitting back and letting it happen, it's just going to go past you. And it's going to happen and you're not going to have a part of it. So you have to make the effort and you have to make the change.
Getting back to the life cycle part, where I think there's common territory, right? It seems logical to start with, what is all the stuff that's hanging around that we should just get rid of? Because nobody's touched it, nobody's using it, and you can make an argument of how much risk it is to the organization. And you know what? For the most part, I found that people just don't care about that argument. So I've struggled with that. And I've realized that it's actually, and there are other challenges by taking that approach. Because as soon as you tell somebody you're going to delete it, they want to keep it, right?
Yep.
So that's not a great way to start. I've felt that pain myself. The way that I've addressed that, again, coming from a data strategy, is that you want to identify what is the core data that has been defined for the business that everybody can agree on, And then whatever is within the scope of that, whatever records are within the scope of that, you are already on the same page. Now, how do you do that? I found the most reliable way to identify your most critical data is to work with, if you have it, operational resiliency. Operational resiliency, they work with the executive teams already, running through scenarios, what if this happens, what if that happens, if there's an earthquake or a flood or there's a breach or whatever. And they've already got the executive team bought in. And what are the conclusions that they're coming to? If something really bad happens, what's the minimum in terms of people and process and technology that we have to stand up in order to keep the business running? That, I would argue, is your critical data. And so it's easier to work from that strategic top-down if you've got it, if you've got that in place. It's a little bit harder if you don't have those kinds of people. I got hands up here. So, Kyle.
If it's okay, I'll just add.
Oh, look at this. This is a good question.
One thing that has helped us at the Australian Financial Complaints Authority is looking at unstructured information quality. What happens if decisions are made on wrong information? We've included that in our corporate risk register, and therefore it's reported quarterly to the board.
Interesting.
That is one way of getting elevation.
Yes.
The other aspect that I think is very helpful is previously we used to use call centers, and any conversation with a customer was an official record, right? Now we've got chatbots. Any conversation with a chatbot is an official record. And if you're not managing that record, people are getting into trouble. I've heard of so many cases of people being rejected for a loan via a chatbot. 10 years later, the people come back and said, you refused this loan to me. This has been the cost over the last 10 years. Why did you refuse it, and what was the basis? They had no record of that decision. They couldn't explain it. They are in lots of trouble, and they were forced to pay that money back. So any communication via these systems with the customer, there's a record. You're part of it. You're part of the game. You cannot be outside of it.
And I'll just add to it that the cyber landscape is changing. There's a lot of focus on, especially the boards, that's one of the biggest agenda to ensure that the data that they are having is well protected. So how you go about that is first understanding what data is being stored, classifying the information, what's sensitive, okay, what we should protect, how we should protect, who has access to that. And a lot of organizations used to have data retention policies, but it never got executed, okay? But I think that's changing, okay? Especially in the company that I'm working in currently, there's a lot of focus in just not having a policy, but ensuring that we identify where data is stored and ensure that we only hold what's required, okay? So that's another way that you can get buy-in in your company.
We had another question.
One quick one, because we need a... sorry, but did you want to chime in on that one?
No, I think I started that.
She lit the fire, but that's all good. One more, look, really, like we've got 1 minute or 2 minutes left, so...
What you just said there, I really respect you and what you said, but the only time I've ever seen that work was during COVID, when we had full contingency planning.
Yeah.
From a knowledge perspective, the only time people actually know what they're going to do is when they do full scenario planning.
Right.
They say, we need that and that, delete the rest, and then when it goes bad, it's all gone.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah. If you don't commit to the process, it's not going to work. Yeah. Agreed.
I've got to say, we could have probably gone for another half an hour on this topic, and easy. And the next topic is data risk, which is actually a continuation of the theme of this conversation. So after the break, we'll come back with data risk. So I'd like to thank our panellists, Anne, Subhrajit, Jim and Howard.
Thank you.